I'm going to try and read this chapter in one take. If I mess it up, I mess it up. The eyes that looked back at me from the mirror were not my own. I shrieked and shook in surprise as they seemed to pierce my mind. The familiar face of the as yet unknown child spoke to me almost telepathically. She said only one simple phrase, but it stuck in my head like glue. Mary has found her playmate. I opened my eyes to the darkness. Beads of sweat ran down my face, heart thumping in my chest. Where was I? Unable to see, I felt and searched the bed for my husband so that he could comfort me, but there was no sign of him. Feeling my way along the wall, I found the light switch and flicked it on. The flame danced into life with a crackle, and I found myself in a small, dark room with nothing but a bed and a wardrobe and dressing table. I took a moment to engage my brain and realised that I was in my new home. It was a new start, a new job, a new place, a new way of life without my husband. But then sadly, I rarely got a chance at life with him when he was there. Something was making a noise, and it wasn't the dog down there, shut up. Something was making a noise. A slow, haunting tune. Poor Mary sits a-weeping, a-weeping, a-weeping. It came from a small music box on the dressing table. I remembered now that I wound it up to help myself try to drift off to sleep. It had now run down and was making the tune slow and eerie, causing my skin to quiver. My only company that night came in the form of two photographs. One was my husband, and the other was the faded photo of the strange, nameless child. It was that child that had visited me in my nightmares. Her eyes looked as though she stared at the camera. It was like she had some sort of illness, but without knowing her history, I could not make a valid guess of what it was. It was the sight of her face in the mirror that had awoken me from my dream. I had been there on a farm by a lake. I had the music box, the same music box that played that slow, eerie tune that I'd awoken to. It was my favourite tune because I could relate to Mary and her lack of a playmate. I wasn't allowed to play with the other children because I was doing differently from them. It had been a peaceful yet sad dream, harking back to a childhood that was not mine, as we often did. What had awoken me in such a sweat that night was when I had investigated the mirror of the music box. It was her face, not mine. It was her dream. It was no wonder that I dreamed about her with her photograph by my bed. Like her, I was very, very afraid of something. As my eyes adjusted to the light, they met with hers in the photograph. Her eyes in the photograph met with mine in the world of the living, as though she had been trying to tell me something. I'd somehow spilt the box of matches across the dressing table under her frame. The matches had fallen in such a way that they spelt out a four-letter word. Hell. Pretty frightening, right? And that's the first part of Maria's Photograph by Samuel J. White. Me. You can get a signed copy of this. Hopefully you can read it better than I did. Yeah, you can get a signed copy of this on my website, samueljwhite.com. And signed copies are £10, including postage. If you enjoyed it, don't wait. Buy it now.